Now, following on from the awful news coming out of New Zealand, the PM Jacinda Ardern has vowed to toughen anti-terror laws after Friday's knife attack in Auckland when a man stabbed 7 people in a supermarket. 3 are still in a critical condition. The Sri Lankan attacker, since identified as 32-year-old Ahmed Samsudeen, was shot dead by police. He'd been arrested a number of times before the incident. So does this mean we need tougher counter-terror legislation? Well, joining me from Wellington with the latest is Rex Wilderstorm. Hi, Rex.
Good morning from New Zealand.
Great to have you. An awfully distressing story. How are the people of New Zealand reacting to it?
Well, shock and disbelief, not just at the terrible events, but at the events or lack of events, perhaps, leading up to them. This enormous hole in our terrorism laws, and it seems some fairly slack immigration laws. This guy had his immigration status revoked back in 2019 after this series of red flags, and here he is still in the country, still going through appeals. Perhaps because he knew the time for those was running out, could have triggered this attack the other day. Who knows? So the whole string of legislation and lack of legislation that led to this is I think, shocked a lot of people, particularly as we were led to believe that there was a crackdown, if you like, on this kind of activity following the Christchurch massacre, where 50 people lost their lives just 2.5 years ago. But it seems only buying back guns was actually implemented, and the rest was kind of just let go. We need to do something. This is something, we've done it. We can now rest on our laurels.
Is there hope that a beefing up of the anti-terror laws will prevent a future attack like this?
Well, if certainly creating the offence of planning a terrorist attack would allow intervention in terms of imprisoning somebody, which they tried to do with this chap. In the end, they had him on lesser charges of possessing offensive material, like videos of beheadings and things. But even though he had clear plans to mount an attack against New Zealanders, that was not illegal. It was only the carrying out of such a plan that was. So he couldn't be sentenced, but he did spend some time in jail, and clearly wasn't at all de-radicalised in there. Instead, he attacked prison guards and faced further charges there. At his trial, he said to the jury, this is about a knife. He was found with a huge hunting knife. As soon as I get out, I'm buying more knives. And indeed, within a couple of days, he went and bought another one which matched the one that he had, and he was charged again over that. So yes, there's a hole in the terror laws. Absolutely, it needs to be plugged. But if we're going to allow these people to stay in the country, and by these people I mean radicalised terrorists, not anybody else, then we're going to have to deal with some way of de-radicalising them, not just follow them with 30 policemen and hope for the best is what we've been doing up until now.
Yes, could there be political pressure on the PM Jacinda Ardern right now?
Oh, undoubtedly there is, and she's, obviously trying to avoid that. She said that the legislation is on the books to patch this hole, which it has been for some time. She did say that the Minister of Justice had coincidentally made a telephone call that very day to try and speed up the process. But come on, I mean, if the government wants something through, they'll take urgency in Parliament and they'll get it through. This is a party, a government with a huge majority in Parliament. It can do what it likes. So all those excuses are sounding a little bit hollow in the wake of this terrorist attack.
And briefly, what's the latest on COVID in New Zealand? Are there still lockdown measures in place, and how are case numbers going?
Well, case numbers are going down. I haven't caught up with today's yet because of this event, but yesterday we had 20 new cases. So certainly numbers per day are decreasing. However, they're not out. They're not down to zero yet. So we've been in lockdown now for 2 weeks. Now, last time we did this, we'd virtually eliminated it by now. So clearly, this Delta variant is going to stick with us. And the question then is arising. Well, Auckland is in complete lockdown. The rest of the country are under very, very strict provisions. Somebody said lockdown with takeaways. You can go and buy some food 2 meters away from the shop doorway, and that's the lot. So the country at the moment is suffering financially and socially. And how long can this go on before we eliminate the strain, if it's even possible? So yes, we weren't in a very great frame of mind when this terrorist attack happened, of course.
No, I mean, is there much pushback when it comes to the COVID measures?
Well, surprisingly, still no. And I say surprisingly because they are very, very tough. And certainly people in business are suffering considerably. And so, no, but there's a whole lot of people, still around about the 78%, I think the last time we were surveyed, who do support lockdown. Of course, the fear, the understandable fear of Delta is driving that. But people are now saying, is this going to work? How often is this going to happen? I think what we're pinning our hopes on at the moment is the vaccination, which has now been ramped right up. It was going very, very slowly. We're just hoping we can now get the supplies in to get us all vaccinated as quickly as possible. And then the question, I think, will seriously be asked: how long can we keep going into lockdown for? But while we're mostly unvaccinated, I think people accept that this is just a necessity at the moment.
Rex Wooderstorm, thank you so much for joining us. Really great to get the latest on what's happening in New Zealand. I hope we get to speak again